Peace One Day is thrilled once again to welcome Twitter as today's awareness partner. And we're honoured to have with us now the head of UK Government, Public Policy and Philanthropy for Twitter UK. Please welcome Katy Minshall.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today on the International Day of Peace. Today it is my pleasure and privilege to meet and interview head of UK Public Policy for Twitter, Katy Minshall. Katy, welcome to Peace Day.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You have such a responsible job. Tell us about your own journey and your role at Twitter.
Well, as head of UK Public Policy, my role is essentially twofold. On the one hand, it's to represent Twitter in working with policymakers in the UK. And on the other hand, it's to support charities and government organisations in the UK in achieving their objectives on the platform. And I have the privilege and the pleasure with working with a whole range of different charities every single day. Day to day, my work consists of speaking with teams within Twitter, like our trust and safety team, our communications team, and the wider public policy team around the world on various issues and campaigns focused on our number one priority, which is improving and protecting the health of the public conversation on Twitter. My job also involves meeting externally with civil servants, politicians, and civil society organisations on the opportunities and the challenges of the online world. One of the reasons I was drawn to work at Twitter is the role it plays in the world today, and whether it's the Me Too movement or climate activism, what you see taking place on Twitter is how many people who lacked equal access to public platforms, say 10 or 15 years ago, especially young people and especially members of marginalised groups, are speaking up and insisting on being heard on Twitter. And that's what really appealed to me in applying to join the organisation.
Twitter is the awareness partner for Peace One Day, and your support has been just amazing. Tell us why it's important for Twitter to support Peace One Day and the live experiences it creates, and what does it mean for you?
Well, we're so proud to be the awareness partner for Peace One Day, and we're incredibly grateful for the opportunity to be involved. We're deeply supportive of Peace One Day's mission to institutionalise Peace Day on 21st of September, online and offline, and for our service, for Twitter to be a shared space to advocate and observe and commemorate. We see people on Twitter all the time advocating for peace around the world in all sorts of different ways. And our aim is that the service be used as a place for anyone, anywhere to speak publicly. I think in particular, the theme this year of recovering better for an equitable and sustainable world underscores the need for all of us to work collaboratively to address so many of the injustices that predate the pandemic, but which COVID-19 has revealed and has exacerbated.
You may know that Peace One Day has a campaign called #CyberNonviolence. And as you well know, and I said in my introduction, social media is such a very powerful weapon that can be used very positively and constructively, but sometimes it can also be used negatively and destructively. It's an incredibly complicated issue. Can you tell us what Twitter is doing to combat cyber violence?
Well, at Twitter, we advocate for freedom of expression and open dialogue, but that means little as an underlying philosophy if voices are silenced because people are afraid to speak up. And so while we welcome everyone to express themselves on our service, we will not tolerate behaviour that harasses or threatens or uses fear to silence the voices of others. Over the past few years, the two biggest priorities for us have been, on the one hand, reducing the burden on victims of online abuse from having to find and report these issues to us. And on the other hand, really reviewing the fundamentals of Twitter and what enables or incentivizes these sorts of behaviors, and what can we change to try and make it safer by design. Now, when it comes to the former, how we reduce the burden on victims, we've gone from a place of being wholly reliant on people telling us when they see these sorts of behaviors to now where a majority of the abusive tweets we take down, we've detected proactively using technology. But it's on that latter part, looking at the fundamentals of Twitter, that I think you've started to see a lot more change over the past 18 months. So, for instance, last year we gave all users the ability to control who can reply to their tweets or turn off replies altogether. So people could speak without having to respond to people that they didn't want to, or they could control who was able to interact with them. We also introduced replies prompts, which encourage people to replies to tweets when it looks like the language they use could be harmful. We found that actually it prompted about a third of people did revise their initial reply or decided not to send it at all. And after being prompted once, people composed on average 11% fewer potentially harmful replies in the future. So I think that's a good example of a product intervention that can really address and improve these behaviors. Now, more recently, just this month, we've introduced safety mode, which is a new trial that aims to reduce disruptive interactions by essentially blocking accounts that are trying to interact with you in an abusive way on your behalf. So again, reducing the burden on you as a user. All of this said, online safety isn't work that we can do alone. And the work that we do to make Twitter safer has to be done in collaboration with our partners around the world. Each year we take part in Safer Internet Day as part of our work to amplify safety guidance and information and best practice, and ultimately campaign for a better internet for all of us.
Earlier this year, you supported Peace One Day's digital show, Anti-Racism Live. Tell us about Twitter's policy about justice, equality, diversity, and inclusion, please.
Well, we were delighted to have the opportunity to support Anti-Racism Live and to collaborate with Peace One Day on this. Our aim is always that Twitter be used as a vehicle for every person to communicate safely, whether it's in highlighting injustice or giving a voice to those communities who've historically been underrepresented. So there's no place for racist abuse on Twitter, and we're determined to do all we can to stop this abhorrent behavior being seen on our service. We can do better, and we fully acknowledge our responsibility to ensure that the service is safe for all our users. When it comes to diversity and inclusion, we aim to be the most inclusive and diverse technology company in the world. Twitter's purpose is to serve the public conversation, and to do that, we need to ensure our company reflects our service, and that means building a team at Twitter as diverse as the people who use it. So what we've done is establish objectives in order to attract and retain and develop the talent necessary to deliver on our commitment. And critically, we've also been focusing on more ways to build accountability and transparency around workforce representation. And one example is through our quarterly inclusion and diversity reports, which outline our progress in making Twitter a truly diverse and global workforce. But I think more broadly, and looking to the future, it will be critical to continue our collaborations with organizations and campaigns like Peace One Day to ensure that Twitter is used to advocate for and build the future that we all want to see.
Well, Kate Minshall, head of UK public policy for Twitter, thank you so much for joining us, and happy Peace Day.
Happy Peace Day. Thank you.